Uncertainty reigns whether the feast of Ramadan shall take place tomorrow, Thursday, or Friday this week. Meanwhile, the most important, or one of the most important airports in Africa has been closed down since this morning when the fire disaster came out and putting everybody in a frightening situation. That is in Nairobi, Kenya. Good evening to you, televiewers of Equinox Television. You're welcome to this 6 p.m. primetime news on the People's Channel. You're welcome. Good evening once again, and you're welcome. I'm Chris Toby for the 6 p.m. news on Equinox TV. Uncertainty reigns on whether the feast of the Ramadan shall be celebrated tomorrow, August 8, or on Friday, August 9, 2013. Though Muslim faithfuls in Cameroon, like their brethren the world over, prepare to break the 29 or 30 days of fasting prescribed for by the Quran, only the appearance of the moon, according to Muslim clerics, can determine the exact day between tomorrow and Friday for celebrations. Many Muslims faithfuls are bracing up preparations either by providing for new clothes for wife and children or spending on the festive part as concerns food and drinks while waiting for the moon to appear. Some feminine non-governmental organizations based in the littoral region have underscored the need for women to be actively included in political affairs in Cameroon. They were speaking today in Akwa Douala during a press conference organized on the theme Women and the 2013 Municipal and Legislative Elections. The women said that the reason why they are not actively involved in politics is due to the absence of law that specifies the number of men and women to hold posts of responsibilities. They, however, recommended that in the next elections in Cameroon, there should be a particular law that would stipulate women's involvement. A local market in the nation's capital, Yaoundé, called Marché Abattoir, has been demolished by agents of the Yaoundé City Council. Yaoundé-based correspondent Roland Akon in the following report tells us that the last makeshift structures of the said market were destroyed yesterday. His report.
Marché Abattoir, near the National Brewery in Yaoundé, has completely been erased by the bulldozers of the Yaoundé City Council. The market was a food and fruit market with makeshift restaurants for nearby workers. This trader is picking the remains of a demolished store to put up another store which will be demolished again by the City Council.
On est dans notre village, on est en train de nous maltraiter.
In my own village, I'm being maltreated. This trader tells me, how are we going to cope with children who will be going back to school next month?
The
traders hate to hear us remind them that they are illicitly occupying public space, creating disorder. They insist market shirts at 5,000 to 10,000 francs are too expensive in a market where they were urged by the City Council to move and some since 2008.
Un petit truc comme ça dans une petite restaurant une femme, il te dit de louer ça 5 000, 10 000 francs.
These are the last traders to quit the lieu after a 2008 forceful eviction of the first set of traders by the Yaoundé City Council.
Calm has returned on campus at the Douala University, where some students went on strike demanding the requirements to obtain presidential grants to be reduced. The students went wild today in the campus, denouncing the cumbersome nature of the process. They were earlier asked to present some student documents which save to some, and they say that they have their, who has already finished their courses did not have. The situation was resolved after a meeting held with the Vice Rector, Professor Mob Nang. The students were told to only present photocopies of originals or photocopies and originals of the national and student identification cards to benefit from the said grants. Cameroon's Prime Minister Philemon Yang recently officially recognized the progress in work done on the construction site of the Kribi Deep Seaport. Prime Minister Yang, who was on a working visit to the seaside resort town of Kribi, seized that opportunity to encourage workers on the site to hasten up so as to meet up with the deadline. But Cameroon's head of government's visit was not hitch-free, as local populations mounted barricades, paralyzing traffic and work for a whole day. They were protesting against the absence of indemnization long awaited despite the promises made by the government and the local committee set aside to pay off the local population whose land were seized or were taken over for the construction of the Kribi Seaport. Some soldiers of Central African Republic who fled to Cameroon have said that they would only return to their country if they are given national as well as international guarantee that their security and dignity will be ensured. They were speaking recently during a visit by the Deputy Director of Cabinet in the Central African Republic. Hansen for Nchanji tells us more.
After the event of 24th March 2013 in the Central African Republic that saw the toppling of former President Francois Bozizé from power by Michel Djotoja, there are indications that not all the Central African Republic soldiers who fled to Cameroon are ready to return to their country. I am ready to leave if the conditions are well determined, if they tell us that our security will be guaranteed and that all I lost while a businessman in the Central African Republic will be given to me. I am ready to go back to my country. In a crisis meeting held in Littoral, Cameroon, the Minister, Deputy Director of the Civil Cabinet at the Presidency of the Central African Republic, Idriss Salau, urged all the soldiers to come back home, reassuring them that the President is ready to receive them. We came to let them know that the situation is steady and that all of them should come back to their country, and they are going to come back voluntarily and in good security, with dignity. Despite assurances by the Secretary of State in the Ministry of Defense in charge of veterans and victims of war, Kumpa Issa, that the Cameroon government will supervise the voluntary and progressive return of the soldiers, some skeptics think that their home country is luring them to put them behind bars. They are behind me because I am part of the people who brought Bozizé to power. In spite of the fact that I have left the army 8 years ago, my presence here in Cameroon is a threat to them. That's why I am highly needed in the Central African Republic. Some of the soldiers say if they return to their country, they may face charges of manslaughter. They said Michel Djotoja, interim president, is not giving the soldiers any assurances. They would not be arrested or even killed when they return home.
Hansen for Nchanji there reporting. The boy who allegedly beheaded his father last March 15 in Bokwango, Boya subdivision, is under intensive medical treatment at the Boya Regional Hospital after he was shot yesterday. Matute Gabriel, who was to be heard in the Boya Court of First Instance yesterday, was shot by a prison warder as he attempted to escape. His condition is said to be very, very critical. Over 250 petitions have been submitted at the registry of the Supreme Court by grumbling political parties and candidates whose nominated papers were rejected by Elections Cameroon. Roland Akong, our Yaoundé Bureau correspondent, went to the Supreme Court and filed in the following report.
At the registry of the Supreme Court, close to 300 petitions have been submitted by political parties and candidates whose nomination papers for the upcoming twin elections were rejected by ELECAM. We met with this supporter of the NUDP party, who tells me that the party submitted 15 petitions at the court.
Globalement déposé 15 recours.
The SDF, the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, among others, also submitted petitions challenging the list published by ELECAM. The competent administrative court shall give a ruling within 40 days from the day the petitions were filed.
And you don't go away, Roland Akon. You say an international or interministerial committee to ensure the inclusion of indigenous people in all major projects in Cameroon has been put in place in Yaoundé. Once more, you have the rest of that story, Roland Akon.
Indigenous persons in Cameroon are complaining of being sidelined from major economic projects in the country. This interministerial committee meeting in Yaoundé Wednesday, chaired by Social Affairs Minister, seeks to put an end to the marginalization of indigenous people.
And you know that this problematic is essentially transversal. And we have thought that it is better to put in one structure all the activities which are made around the country by the ministerial departments and all partners into one platform structure in order for us to have very good results.
Manu Jidado is in Bororo. He tells me each time a major project is to be carried out in a land where the Bororo people live, they are evicted without any compensation on arguments that they do not own a land. The Interministerial Committee now serves as a single structure through which different ministries and partners will ensure the social inclusion of indigenous people, especially pygmies and the Bororos, in the major economic projects in Cameroon.
Thanks sincerely, Roland Akong, Yaoundé Bureau Chief, out there signing off that report. And we go out of Cameroon. Total confusion is reportedly reigning in Nairobi, Kenya, since the early hours of today at the main airport, as the main airport is closed. This follows a fire disaster that ravaged part of one of the most important airports in Africa, situated in the Kenyan capital city of Nairobi. No signal so far as for planes landing nor taking off. Well, with that we come to the end of the first part of this news, and coming up next is our talking point. Now, once more, you're welcome to this edition of the news on Equinox Television. I'm Chris Toby, and with me here is Madam. I need to read out your name, lest I definitely pronounce it against your wish, but permit me do that. Madam Kalngi Tamsa Louise Florence, you're welcome.
You got it. You got it right.
I got it.
Yes.
So you're welcome.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure having you on Talking Point during this English news on Equinox Television.
Yes, it's a pleasure that is shared.
Now, you followed our news, and at least the first part of this news, and I want to ask you, I'm tempted to ask you the question, when a situation like the catastrophe happening in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, where one of the most important airports in Africa, undergoes fire disaster, what impression it gives you?
In fact, it gives me the impression that there is no peace. That's the first impression I have. And all of us, we have to endeavor to put ourselves into a peaceful atmosphere. We have to endeavor. It's a duty. Mm-hmm. No matter what it costs, it's a duty. Mm-hmm. Because when the fire takes in a so important airport like that, what are the travelers doing? What are the people? Because the solidarity, the African solidarity depends also on the fact that I can travel to Kenya to and fro freely and peacefully.
Now, Madam Tamsa, you are, can I call you a female leader?
Yes.
Or a feminine leader?
I'm a female leader, not a feminine,
okay,
because there's a difference.
Yes. Now
I'm not fighting for the government of women.
Yes.
I'm fighting for the rights of women.
Or for the inclusion of women
into the inclusion of women into the process.
Yes. But now, some women, in one of the reports that we had from Yaoundé-based correspondent Roland Akon out there from the nation's capital, he was, talking of the fact that some women in one of the roadside markets, after the destruction of that market, they were crying that they are in their own fatherland and are being chased away. Now, are you seeing it from the perspective of women being chased away, or from the perspective of the fact that the city of Yaoundé has to be made clean at all costs?
Yeah, in fact, there are two things there. It's not the woman that is chased away. It's the citizen that is not in a good position that is chased away. That's the first point. But there is something I have noticed. Sometimes we have a habit to go and sit where we are going to face a very close danger. And that's, unfortunately, that's the situation. It's not only in Yaoundé, it's also in Douala. It's also in Douala, because when I go to work every morning, you find gendarmes chasing people away from the road where the cars are passing. And on the other hand, I think we need our people, that is me and you, the government, the stakeholders, the civil society, everybody at his level to take hold of the social aspect of this country. Because this woman who is selling banana by the roadside, what can we do for her? If we chase her from there, we have to show her a place. And when we show her a place, the cost of that place must be at the level that she can afford. And that is the real situation.
Now, Madam, you see, now let's come back to our subject matter. That's the reason for why you are our guest for tonight's newscast on Equinox Television. You see, some feminine non-governmental organizations in the littoral region have underscored the need for women to be actively included in political activities or political affairs in Cameroon. Do you think women are not that included?
Yeah, it's a fact. It's a fact.
How do you justify
I'm not blaming anybody, but what I say, when you go to the field, is a fact. Because you need to be psychologically balanced to enter politics. But what we see, these women, most of them are traumatized. When you think about what will I eat? Where will my child go to school? Where will I be treated in the hospital? In which hospital? What money? I mean, the needs of on daily basis, put them in such a net that they don't see far from that. So when you come to them and ask them to enter into politics, they will tell you that they don't have the money.
Is it the
because somewhere, somehow, it happens as if the politician is the one that must have money.
Now, is it the pressure from their husbands who are said to be relegating them to the backyard, or it is nature that wants it that way?
No, let's keep nature far away, because when we look at the whole world, it's not only the woman.
By nature, I mean tradition, African tradition.
Yeah, I prefer tradition. Yeah. I prefer tradition. I prefer religion, because there are some concepts in religion that are encouraging this fact that the woman is needed behind the house. And some of these, our sayings in our country, in our home dialect, say that you cannot urinate, your urines cannot cross the bridge. So just to tell you that you are the woman, stay behind the house. We have traditions, we have religion. But there is a change. There is a change. Nowadays, the men that send the children to school send their girls to school. So it cannot be as our mothers were. But there again, all this environment, the pressure of the environment, that is on the man and on the woman, who is supposed to integrate the politics and make it its goal, is so much so that there are very few that goes into politics.
No.
They are afraid of risk. Going into politics is like taking a risk.
Now, the press conference that these non-governmental organizations granted to the press this morning here in Douala Akwa, the theme was women and the 2013 municipal and legislative elections. Are they particularly addressing the women, or like creating awareness to the women during the upcoming September 30 elections, or is it just the stepping stone?
No, they have been doing it for almost, from what I know, because we meet them on the field all over the places. They have been doing it since March 2013. In fact, nowadays, I don't think it's not just a stepping stone. I think it's something that we need to handle it. I, as a woman, if I cannot register myself as a candidate, I have to go and vote. Because I need my basket in the house to change. The content of my basket must change. You have the rice is going up, the soap is going up. We have so many problems. If I go to give birth to a hospital, I need to have the assurance that if I have blood shortage, the blood will be available to be put in my veins, so that by giving birth, I should not die on the spot. If I have to go and register my daughter or my son in school, I need a little bit of assurance that the school my daughter or my son is going is teaching and the atmosphere there is a good one. And when that daughter or that son will come out, she or him will find a job. It's not something that is superficial, it's concrete. So I need to be in a list, or I need to go and vote for somebody else. But then again, I come back. We are not fighting to say, hey, you men, get away. We want to build up a government of women. That's not. We want competent and efficient women in the process of taking decisions.
Yeah, but you people seem to be wanting a situation of 50-50.
Yeah. And I will not be afraid of it because I'm not against my constitution.
50-50?
The Constitution of Cameroon, what does it say? It doesn't consider me as a woman and the other one as a man.
Yeah, but is that possible in the context of Cameroon where, like the Bayangians, they have their tradition of this women, you understand, mutilation and things like that. When in the Grand North, you have women who must, you see, always be relegated to the backyard.
Yes, it is possible. It is possible, and I believe it will happen. I cannot guarantee the time that it will take, but I believe in this country it will happen.
Now, the women...
Because once, Mr. Toby, once you stop seeing your wife as somebody's daughter, but you see her as your daughter, you start loving her. And when you want to position your wife, you will position her for the good of your family. Now we have certain problems because everybody is seeing the woman as somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but now coming back to talk about politics, since that's our main concern for today. The women are complaining that they're not actively involved in politics because of the absence of a law that specifies the number of men and women to hold certain posts of responsibility.
Yeah, the law will come and add something to it, but I want to assure you that we have so many good laws that are they already applied. That's the first thing. The law will not change the mentality of somebody. We need to go out, sensitize people on daily basis. We need to give them examples, concrete examples. That your daughter that you are sending now in the school, are you paying that school fees for her to stay at home and turn the fufu? Because the law, we don't want to take it, let people not assume that once the law will be there, everything will go fine. No, will go fine. No. We need to sensitize people to change the mentality, not only of that woman that does not want to take a risk to go on politics, but of that man that does not want to see a woman by his side on the politics, on the ground of politics. That is what we need to do. The law will come and sustain it. But if the mentality is not changed, you can write as many laws as you can.
Yeah, but if you are asked as a female leader to score your women folk on 20, what average you give them when it comes to politics now with people you have, like the political leaders, female political leaders you have in Cameroon?
Yeah, the female political leaders, they can only do what they can do within the system in which they are. So I'm afraid I'm not in a good position of giving a mark to them because I'm not inside and I don't see exactly what they are going through. So I might judge that they don't do as much as they are supposed to do. But maybe there are hindrances inside the house that cannot help them to do things. But we need them there. At least we need them there. If they cannot change the things, at least they will bring out the information. That field should not be empty. The woman must be there. And there is a change. I know from the late things I've seen newspapers, there are many women in the list, but I don't know whether they are already at 30%.
No, but another question we want to ask is, now you as a female leader,
Yes.
what is the message you pass across to your fellow women? Is it that they should challenge their husbands at home, or is it that they should impose themselves when it comes to the political arena? What is the message you send to them?
The woman in the house is a wife, and there are certain laws that are there for the family. But the woman who is a wife in the house, who goes out on the field, she is comparable to the man that is fighting for the post. So they have to impose themselves by good acts. It's not that they are challenging the men just for challenge sake. They have to impose themselves by good acts, doing things at the right time, at the right moment, in the right way. Not taking position in politics just because they want to see them with very good clothes and very good jewels. That's not the type of woman we want to see in politics. We want to see the woman in politics who is wearing even slippers, but who goes out there to impact women, to tell them that this, you can do this, you have started doing this, but it's not enough, you can go ahead.
Now, Madam Tamsa, it has been a pleasure having you as guest on this news. You do promise me that you certainly come back again when we need you?
Yeah, we are open. We are very open.
Very open.
I mean, the fight is together. You, the people in communication, we on the field with the women. So we must hold our hands.
We thank you for sparing part of your time to be part of us during this newscast. And televiewers of Equinox TV, we do thank you sincerely for being part of us, and we hope to have you again in your numbers tomorrow, same time, 6 p.m. We do thank equally Hansen for Nchanji, who supported us at the background alongside the innocent Baker Wonade, who directed the news for us. I'm pleased to be signing off on behalf of the news arm of Equinox Television. Until we come your way again tomorrow, it is so long. Bye-bye.